Dun, 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 dun.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight we welcome Alan Miller and Gareth Wyn Jones, two strong voices standing up for our farmers, our freedoms and our future. Across Wales, rural communities are under pressure. Farmers are facing policies that threaten livelihoods in the name of net zero, whilst ordinary people are being asked to...
Well, our internet just went down. Oh my gosh, what's happened there? The internet's just gone down, okay.
Why is our internet right? Okay, so this evening is our countryside and ensuring that power remains with the people. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Trying to get the camera to work. Oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? We are here. Oh,
the whole computer's gone. The whole we're back. We're back in the room.
We're back.
I'm going to start all of that again.
No,
do that once more.
No, you want to go from the top again?
Absolutely do that once more. No, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it properly.
Okay, here we go.
We're going to do it properly.
We're going to start
again. Are we ready?
Okay,
3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight we welcome Alan Miller and Gareth Wyn Jones, two strong voices standing up for our farmers, our freedoms and our future. Across Wales, rural communities are under pressure, serious pressure. Farmers are facing policies that threaten livelihoods in the name of net zero, whilst ordinary people are being asked to accept increasing digital oversight. The question is simple: who is holding politicians to account? This evening is about defending common sense, protecting our countryside and ensuring that power remains with the people. Please welcome Alan Miller and Gareth Wyn Jones. Hello, guys. What was that?
Hey, you said about power to the people. You better get yourself sorted with your own power first.
We put the pound in the meter.
Oh, mate, you know what? It always happens. Something always goes wrong with technology, doesn't it? There's always something happening.
It drives me mad.
It does indeed. It does indeed. Well, fantastic. Great. Thanks for coming on the show, guys. We really appreciate your time. We know how important it is and how busy you both really, really are. We know Gareth is more busier than Alan, and let's be honest, Al, he is, isn't he? He's a farmer.
Well, he definitely is. Gareth looks like he's got a halo. Andy looks like he's got a Caesar's type crown with the plant in the background. So I'm liking the look, Gareth. It's good.
Well, listen, I'm a bit short on top, so I thought I'd put something in the background that makes me look a little bit more, looking.
Brilliant. Well, let's kick this off, guys. Get straight into it as people are jumping on. First of all, can I just say to all of our subscribers and our new members, thank you ever so much for subscribing to the channel. Please like, share and follow on all the social media platforms that will come up a little bit later in the show. And we want to say a huge thank you to all of you that have sponsored and donated to this program, because it keeps us going and it keeps the electric on, especially the lights and the camera that just didn't work. So thank you very much for that. We really appreciate it. So diolch yn fawr, as they say here in Wales. We are delighted. We had the pleasure of meeting Gareth at the Together event down in Cwmbran with Alan and the team there, speaking on taking back democracy, and it was a fantastic time. We really enjoyed it, didn't we? It was fantastic.
I loved it. It was just really good to see everybody. It was just kind of brilliant feedback from everybody as well. So I'm happy to have met you guys in person and in the flesh.
Yeah, well, you had a good time with Gareth anyway, didn't you?
Oh, we did.
I got a little video here of both of you.
Look who I bumped into.
Living the dream.
Oh, we're living the dream. What are we doing tonight?
We are having some fun and some discussions, and we're going to talk of farming.
Is my hair right in your eye?
Well, I don't have that problem. But grass doesn't grow on busy streets, girl. Or I've had too much headboard action in my time.
There we go.
Look who I...
My hair goes everywhere all the time. You end up chewing it, don't you?
So let's begin then. Let's go with Alan first, shall we? Alan, tell us about Together Association. Tell us what's been happening, the expansion, the growth. I remember the early days down in Cardiff, all that kind of stuff. What's been going on? What campaigns are you running? And tell everybody a little bit about how they can get involved and where you're at right now.
Yeah, great. Well, at the moment, I've pulled up by a service station because I'm on the way up to Manchester Gorton. Because we're Together is doing this as part of our Take Back Democracy tour, and we're encouraging everyone to vote. And we're saying get out and vote because it's really important. But we're also talking to people about the key issues that we think people should be voting on, which is scrapping digital ID. The government have said that there's a U-turn on mandatory digital ID for work, but the one login system is still being maintained. 8 million directors being pushed. Our children with a unique digital identifier without any consent. And of course, our veterans are being peddled, they're being nudged into it as guinea pigs. So we're doing that. The Take Back Democracy tour, we, as you quite rightly say, we're just in Cwmbran, and there's some more exciting announcements that are coming down the line in Wales very shortly, which we're very excited about. And then we're going across England, a number of different areas, including the Midlands, the Northeast and Northwest. We're going to be in Scotland on the 25th of March, in Glasgow at the Garage, with some great people from hospitality and other areas that are all going to be talking about the concerns around not just digital ID, but what's happened with net zero and low traffic neighbourhoods, the way it's impacted Glasgow, retailers and wholesalers and everyone in the area, destination traffic, and then that all leads up to the big national event on April the 25th in the Four Nations. So at the Senedd, outside the Senedd, outside Holyrood in Scotland, in Belfast and in Westminster in London. And when we started off, it's now 5 years ago, on really the day Boris Johnson said we're going to have Freedom Day, and by the way, we're going to have vaccine passports. We all organised quite quickly and around the UK. And Richard, it was really exciting that we went to, well, there's a picture of us outside 10 Downing Street we had 360,000 signatures, 200,000 against vaccine passports, 160,000 against the jab mandates. And you were there with us. You also there. We did 2 protests actually at the Senedd. One was very, very early doors, and the second one was really huge. It was great, and it was such an exciting experience. I remember, one of the there was a lot of standout points there that day. How many of the MSs they sort of threatened other MSs and they locked them out if they came to speak to us. But one of the great moments was when everyone started singing the Welsh national anthem, and they were standing for freedom, but people had come in solidarity, and a lot of Welsh guys, and you had said that it was great to see people coming from Liverpool, from Nottingham, from Birmingham, from London. Solidarity, us all standing shoulder to shoulder, saying this was not about freedom, it's not democratic, this is not okay with our privacy, and that we have shared common values. And this is what's essential about Together, because obviously there's lots of noise, particularly now, and it's exciting, there's disruption, there's new things happening, and I get it, right? But there's some fundamental things that we all think that we have a common interest in, and that is to make sure that we retain our privacy, we uphold and defend our liberty and our freedom. We stand on the shoulders of those who've given so much and sacrificed so much. And that goes across the board. It's obviously digital ID and free speech, juries and appeals, elections, but it's also food and our family farmers and agriculture. We've done such a big campaign with farmers over the last year, and we helped form a new organisation called Farmers to Action. It's now Farmers Take Action. Where there's been independent grassroots activity with the public coming out to support our farmers. Our goal always is to bring the public to amplify things and say we can't allow technocrats just to impose things on us. We must be able to have scrutiny and debate and discussion, and people have to be able to make decisions, right? And we have to thrash these things out, and you need free speech for that. And that's got to be done, and not behind closed doors, and not just smearing people and trying to have a 2-tier approach to everything and lock people up when you don't like it. So we're very passionate about that. We're very much about whoever's standing, whether it's locally, nationally. We love the fact lots of people are standing, but we want to be able to hold everyone accountable, because the public is really where the honesty stays. The honesty, the way to keep everyone honest is to have a very strong public that's got strong muscles. So we'd encourage everyone to join us and get involved, because we're only as strong as the members and people who are local leaders, local champions, regional and national. And that's really we're going to continue with the campaign around scrapping digital ID, around freedom of speech and conscience, supporting our farmers, family farmers and farmers in Britain. and continue that as we go right the way through.
Absolutely. And on that, Alan, you've put together a digital bill of rights. One of our viewers has just mentioned that there as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that what you put together?
Yeah. So the thing about digital bill of rights, what we're saying is that, we live in a world that digital technology is going to be important, right? We understand that there are people want to use things, and there's a difference between a relationship to private person-to-person entities and how we can harness technology. We're not Luddites. But there's got to be the ability to not participate or not have to verify, particularly with government. So you've got a situation where we already make decisions and we already have to do certain things at borders. We have passports, we have driving licenses, we have a national social security number. That's all fine. It should be like that. We do need to know who people are. But the idea that we have a one login system that then is linked to every bit of your life and to be able to verify to just participate is not acceptable. Now, if I could just explain a few things about this. The one login system sits underneath what the discussion about a government wallet and a digital brick card or ideas. It's the whole infrastructure that everything has been built around. It already has had whistleblowers saying that the data leak is very, very problematic. We've seen in the last 6 months, hundreds of millions of people across the world have had data breaches. We've seen what happened with Jaguar Land Rover in Britain, really impacting the economy. We've seen with Heathrow, with Marks and Spencer, across the board, people who have got really good tech people all can't protect their data. So that's one issue, the data breach. The other question is everything from debanking that we've seen, from well-known people to many of our organizations have all come under the problems of debanking around personal views. When you have a situation where everyone's forced onto digital ID, it's not just data breaches, it's the concern that the people who are running the state, who don't like what you're saying or doing, can take you down. They can debank you. We did a big campaign against that. It almost got through legislation, but Rishi Sunak called a snap election. We know that across the board, the social media, the attempt for a social media ban for under 16s, this is all having an impact around the question of digital ID, because how do you actually know if someone's 16 or not? Well, you don't. What you end up doing is forcing the whole of the population to digitally verify to prove they're not under 16. So ostensibly, you start pushing digital ID to participate in the public square. The digital arena now is the public square. And we're saying with the Digital Bill of Rights, everyone must have the freedom not to do it. We must have the freedom not to verify, to participate, to be able to continue in an analog way. It's not just the 4 million or so elderly people, pensioners and others. It's also the fact that many people don't want to do it and should not be forced to do it. And it is possible not to sign into one login as a director if you pay an ASCP, an accountant. But again, that means you're having to pay for the privilege of carrying on in society normally. It's unacceptable. So our Digital Bill of Rights is laying out very clearly that we must have the right to exist without digitally verifying who we are to exist. And the grave concerns that we've seen around not just Lucy Connolly, but all the other people that have been imprisoned or arrested on so-called non-crime hate incidents, 13,000 a year. The Met Police are saying they're stopping them, but we've seen ongoing lots and lots of arrests. The concern is that where you go, what you say, what you do, if it's all monitored and surveyed, is your net zero carbon footprint too big? Are you not recycling enough? Are you going on holiday too much? Are you using too much in the car? This whole question of being able to see where you're going all the time, what you're doing. And, you only have to look at the under 16 social media ban, the debanking, and then you look at one other thing. You look at the facial recognition, which no one's agreed to. It's never been in any manifesto. And yet the police are rolling it out everywhere with football fans this weekend, right? All across the board in the north and in the south of England. And so you've got a situation where even though they've done a U-turn, and it's fantastic work, by the way, the 3 million who signed the petition, all the people that campaigned really hard, really strong, all of us, we were all there. Gareth was there at the Labour Party conference where we all stood for farmers and said no to digital ID. We've been campaigning resolutely. Great news that we got them to stop that and do a U-turn on part of the IHT. But like with IHT, which Gareth will talk more about, it's a partial victory. It's important we take the victories when we fight back, because otherwise they would have just carried on. But we have to recognise this is not any way near the end. And we've got to be vigilant and say we're not going to allow this to continue. And actually, we're saying scrap digital ID, but let's have a digital Bill of Rights that we're protected with them. And we're asking anyone who's standing in the elections on the 7th of May to say that they'd be supporting the scrapping of it and of digital ID, and to support the digital Bill of Rights, and that we're going to keep pushing that in the run up to the election. And we're saying people should vote on 5 key areas, of which digital rights and the digital Bill of Rights is one, net zero is another, free speech is another, our farmers and supporting family farmers in Britain, British agriculture, food security is another, and net zero, saying no to net zero is another. If we want nothing that will cripple us more quickly than what I would call Mad Ed's obsession. And the truth is, the gig's up with most people, right? Most people know that they can't just keep saying this word. The British public don't want to be impoverished. We need to be able to get the lights on. We need a dynamic wealth creation project for our economy, of which agriculture is central to, but infrastructure development and wealth creation. But that takes an engaged public as well, and it takes honest representatives with a clear plan and agenda. And we're going to keep fighting and pressurising and lobbying to make sure these things are front and centre across the board.
Brilliant, brilliant. We've got a couple of questions.
We've got a question here for you, and it says, if you register to vote online, do you automatically get a digital ID number? I recently needed to re-register to vote after a house move, but I did it by paper form and got no digital ID.
Yeah. You don't. So to vote, you should not be getting any of that. You can absolutely, the person's right, you can absolutely just request a new address, or, you know, if you're going to vote in person, or if you're going to do it by postal vote, you can do that. Where the issue comes in is in a certain few areas, where a question about if your new driving license, you can still apply for that in an analog way. You know what it is? It's a bit annoying, right? You've got to go to the post office, fill out the form, get it done. But I mean, I've just done it again recently, and it's all enticing, isn't it? It's just really convenient. Get in, do it on one login. Once you're in one login, that's that, right? And then it's being promoted in a number of areas that can be tied up. So everything from benefits to pensions and being pushed in an array of areas. So and then of course, obviously with company directors, and the idea being if you get 8 million of them on there, then also staff. And if you give all the children a unique identifier digitally and they can't consent to it, then you're done, right? So no, not for voting. But people should ask the question all the time. It's good. If they go to togetherdeclaration.org, you can see we've got a whole lot of assets in there, how you write to councillors and MPs, what it means if you're a director, a veteran, and other areas where you can look into it and get some feedback and everything.
Fantastic. We've got a couple of comments coming in. People asking, Alan, where we know you're doing the big tour on the 25th of April, which we're going to mention again at the end of the show. But someone's asking when you come into the north of Essex. There's a question that's come up from our viewers here. Any ideas about Essex at all?
Yeah, well, I love Essex. I'm there quite often. A good question, because we just done one of our big London events. What we're actually planning to be doing is, I'm not going to answer this question in the way they want really, but we're going to be doing stuff across the Midlands, North East, North West, and we're going to go along the coast, the South Coast, South West and South East. So we'll have to see about Essex, but let's see when we might be able to put something in there. If they come back and say we were on Rogue's, Rogue Unfiltered, Richie and Rogue show, then what we can do is if they put a little email into us, and we'll see where they are in Essex, and we'll come back to them.
Brilliant. That's great. We're just going to go to one thing, because it's a walk down memory path for me, and I put a bit of weight on this, and I found this video, an old one that you sent to me, Al, if you remember, I said to send it, and then it's over to Rogue then, because Rogue's going to speak to Gareth. He's waiting patiently. So here's this video. It just takes me back to those days, Alan. Just watch this quickly.
We're here in Cardiff. We're about to go over to the Senedd, the Welsh Parliament. We're going to have our voices heard. Absolutely outrageous that they're going to be trying to push through vaccine passports. We've spoken to a lot of the MPs, the MSs, members of the Senedd, saying we shouldn't be anywhere, shouldn't even be here because of the fiasco last time. We've got some of the young students against tyranny, James. But Adam Brooks has come all the way from London. Matt Connolly from Sticky Fingers, who's mounted this legal question.
Yeah.
Richard Taylor. What we saying, boys?
No to vaccine passports, that's what we're saying. It's an absolute disgrace, it's discriminatory, and it's going to have a huge impact on local businesses and the hospitality industry, and we have to put a stop to it. And our voices will be heard today. The people of Wales have had enough of this government with draconian measures. Enough is enough. Sign the Together Declaration, hit the link at the bottom of this video, because your signature matters.
So get down here if you're seeing this now and you're anywhere local or even a bit further. People are coming from around the country. Stand with us together, make our voices heard. We stop this together, togetherdeclaration.org.
There we go.
There we go.
And it worked out. We did it.
Well, the people did it. I mean, that in the Senate, as I was saying, we should pull up and we'll try and find, I'm going to try and find that video. It's on our social somewhere. It is a Sunday, but where everyone was singing that Welsh national anthem. Do you remember? And we had all the TV companies came down, and it was so powerful. It was inspiring. And I've seen you talk before, and you did at our event. You talked about what it's like when people go to football matches or rugby matches, and that spirit of the people, the public. And we had a moment of that then, and a slice of that. And that's the thing, right? We really engage with the everyman and every woman, regular people, everyday people, who are the people that keep our four nations, the United Kingdom, running and going. Right, like our great farmers, and Gareth's a brilliant ambassador for them, but like all the people, right? The mechanics, the chippies, the milk people, all the people that are working in the offices. That's what it's about, right? That spirit of we can do it together.
Absolutely. And folks, for those of you who don't know, there is a tour taking place, and we'll be sharing a lot more on that on the show on the 25th of April, all across the country in London, Edinburgh, Cardiff, and Belfast as well on the 25th. Get that date in your diary. Visit the website together.org and make sure you sign up for that. It's going to be very important that we put pressure on our politicians, because at the end of the day, listen, we can do a lot more as a pressure group than we can inside the belly of the beast sometimes. And we've proven that. Many people have. The farmers have, which we're going to come to now. So, Alan, thank you ever so much for coming on and sharing about the Together Association and what's happening. We're looking forward to catching you again soon, my friend. I know you got to go. You're in Manchester. We know you're campaigning up there with your team. Have a wonderful time, mate. We're wishing you all the best. You're from Wales, and we can't wait to see you in Cardiff soon.
Lovely, guys. Thanks a lot. All the best. Take care.
Take care. Take care.
Bye.
Oh, New Year's now our favourite.
We've got you all to ourselves now. Bless your heart. So look, I've been doing a little bit of research about you, and I know that your family has been in farming for 375 years plus. Is that right?
That's as far as the records go in our parish, yeah. But
Isn't that amazing?
I've got a Celtic Hill fort behind me, and yeah, I would believe that they were my ancestors. We've got one of the first ever axe factories in the world, which goes back over 6,000 years in my back garden. So a lot of history here. Love what I do, believe in fighting for the right causes and working with good people to find solutions to the problems we have here, not just in Wales, but globally, really. It's an absolute shit show what's going on in the world.
You see, that's my thing. That's what I'm going to come to, which is like, you know, back in the day. So if we go back 375 years and then we come to today, you know, they wouldn't have felt the pressures that you guys are feeling. They wouldn't have felt, you know, the stress that you're under with all of this bullshit with Mad Ed, as he quite rightly said, you know.
I don't know. They would have had a lot of pressure then as well. You know, there would have been different pressures. I think as an industry, the agricultural sector will have pressures with disease, weather, you know, what they do have now with government policies, WEF, United Nations, you know, reducing red meat content and getting rid of cows and sheep because their farts are destroying the planet. And, you know, need to be saved, and sheep have killed whales, and there's no trees left here because we were once a massive forest. Well, yeah, London was a bogland as well. So, yeah, if you want to rewild it, start down there, and then we'll stay where we are for the moment being. But, you know, it is important that we understand that our industry has always got over that hurdle. You know, whatever that problem was, we've got over it. And I think, you know, farming is very, very resilient, and the farmers are very resilient, and they will bounce back. And it has been a very, very difficult, I would say, 15, 20, maybe 25 years for the industry, or maybe a little bit further. So massive challenges ahead. I think we've got great opportunity in May, especially in Wales, for things to change. If we get the right party and the right people in there that can work together. And I think it's really important that, you know, I put my stamp, as, you know, you guys know, I said in our conference down in Cumbraen, you know, that I am politically neutral. I try to work with everybody, you know, I'll meet with any political party. And this is really important for us all to understand.
Yeah.
These doors are open for every political party to come in and to listen to the people that understand what they do. You know, when you've got civil servants that don't understand the industry and how to change it and how to develop it and how to implement the importance of food production, environmentally based policy.
No farmers, no food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a balance, isn't it? It's a balance.
Yeah.
It is.
Go on.
I know, because this is your time to share.
It's fine.
I was just thinking, look, what you just mentioned there, Rogue, is you posted a video, Gareth, about some of this stuff, how government have really kind of, in one sense, this is my opinion, they've literally tried to destroy our farming industry. And I think you're not shy of saying
I'll be honest with you, Rich. You know, it's not just government.
Yeah.
I think mainstream media's had a big part to play as well. You know, they have been pointing the finger at the agricultural sector for a long time, and it is very demoralising. You know, mental health, suicide rates. A lot of these farmers financially are under a lot of pressure, and more red tape, more problems. You know, less young people coming into the industry. It all has a massive. You throw a little stone into that lake and the ripple effect, and that ripple effect has been happening for a long time, and that's why, you know, both of you know, my feelings, my passion is about hopefully protecting the industry and bringing the next generation in so they can produce that food affordably, seasonally, healthily, and make sure that it's not under too much pressure, because nobody wants to come into a job that is, you know, not rewarding.
Yeah, no, I mean, you obviously you post a lot of videos when you're on your tractor, and you know, you get these kind of moments of inspiration because you're passionate about the farming industry, and that's clear, and we love that about you. And I got one here, and actually, you didn't swear in this one. I thought I was quite impressed with that. I was really impressed with this one.
That's probably the only one I don't swear.
So I'm just going to play this clip, and I'm going to talk to you about it.
Okay, so the NRW came out with a statement yesterday that Wales is one of the most depleted of nature and wildlife countries in the world. Okay? Now, what the flying fig is going on? So for 26 years, Welsh Government has been giving policies into the farming community, and the NRW are pointing the finger at mainly the farming communities and families for this nature depreciation and, you know, habitat loss. Well, it's bullshit, to be honest with you. So for 26 years, these people that are paid by you, by the taxpayer, have been giving policies to the agricultural sector, and now they try to blame us for this absolute so-called bloody nature catastrophe here in Wales. Well, shame on you. Absolutely shame on you. Point the finger at yourselves, people. And I'm going to give you a few facts and figures. We have a massive overpopulation in a big mammal called the badger. And nobody in the Senedd has got the balls to say that we need to reduce them numbers to protect our hedgehogs, our ground nesting birds, and our bumblebees. No, none of them. And it would save the taxpayer millions because we'd have less TB outbreaks and less money coming from you, the taxpayer. Number two, our rivers are so full of agricultural pollution. Well, look at how much shit our water companies are pumping sewage into the river courses and the sea. Not even a mention. No, because they're all in the same boat together. Number three, we have to have a general license to shoot our magpies, our crows. You know, there's an overpopulation of these birds that are taking away the smaller songbirds. They don't need protecting.
They need reducing, the same as the badger. Grey squirrels, a massive problem, massive problem. And in these 26 years, I will tell you, this government has reduced the number of livestock, cattle, sheep, and ponies as well, I'd say to you. So what happens? There's less grazing and there's less habitat. We're having more wildfires. This country needs change. This country needs a government that will listen to farmers. Yes, we need to feed the nation. Yes, we need to protect the environment. And yes, we need to protect wildlife. But we can't do that unless we look back at the past. Don't blame the farmer. Blame the government.
Yeah, absolutely that. So look, you've moved from the screen doing your videos to the streets and then becoming a huge figure, you know, and a voice for the farmers and for the people. And you went to the Senate, didn't you, in 2024, and then you led a massive protest. Weren't there like about 10,000 farmers there? Yeah?
Yeah, I've been very, very fortunate. So there's a group that's called Dig On, You Dig On, Enough is Enough. And I've been a small part of that group, which has been inspirational to me. It's been a big, big help. There's some fantastic people in there, some well known within the agricultural society, and some people have to keep themselves just outside the periphery, so people don't really understand what they're feeding into the thing. So, you know, it's a good mix of people, and that's really important. And you know what, they're a broad church of political views, so it can get a little bit of a heated WhatsApp group every now and again, you know. You've got right, left, and central people, but that's what it's about, you know. I hate this pigeonholing people. So the pigeonhole people, oh, if you're right wing then you're racist, oh yeah, and you just don't want any immigration and all this. You know, the majority of people that I know are middle of the road. Okay, some swing a little bit to the left, some swing a little bit to the right, but the majority of them people are middle of the road, and they want the best for this country. And it can be very, very frustrating for the way that they're trying to divide and conquer us as a nation and as a people. And I think, you know, sometimes we have to stand up and be honest with each other, be transparent, not pretend. You know, I'm a little bit to the right of that middle of the line. You know, I've never pretended, but the only political party I've ever been a member of is Plaid Cymru. So, you know, I've got policies in each different party that I think, bloody hell, that's good. How can I get all them policies into one party or across party into Wales, and how can we all do that for the betterment of our whole nation? Because you know, we are in a mess. There's no doubt what we've seen in Manchester yesterday, and you know, the hatred and the poison, and you know, the political system is not helping that either. You know, they are dividing the people as well, which helps their narrative. And I think to get a country that is really, really working well, people have to work together.
Yep. I've got a question here for you, but I don't understand the farmers industry. Can you ask Gareth if all regulations were lifted apart from animal welfare, and would farmers grow what they wanted and quantity, i.e. go back to seasonal?
I think, you know, that's a really good question. So a lot of the policies over the years have been in the reduction of livestock units, especially on the uplands. There's been a lot of rewilding projects. There's been a lot of tree growing, and I'm not against growing trees in the right place. So the right tree in the right place. So you go back to the 50s and the 40s, you know, after the war, they were planting conifers, massive conifer deserts, I call them, wildlife deserts. You know, they acidified the land, the rivers, you know, destroyed. Nothing lived there except a few foxes. It wasn't anything for life, you know, for wildlife. And this is what we've got to be careful of. You know, these monocultures, these ways of life. So if we want to build a better Britain, we'll have to start on our bellies. And that's why when we have a system, we need a system that has food production in it. you know, and none of these people are really talking about food production, and that needs to be at the top of the tree. We've got a lot of great innovations today. I went to Cornwall a couple of years ago when I was doing a bit of filming work for S4C. When we went down to a farm down there, council farm, great. They were capturing methane in that farm over the cow poo. They were sucking that methane out, and they were running their tractor on that. They were running a generator. So, you know, if you imagine if you can take that innovation then and start building greenhouses, you know, using that heat from them cows to source then heating for a greenhouse where we can have more seasonal tomatoes, because that's what people want. You know, we shouldn't be going to Spain and bringing everything from Europe. We should be looking at innovation, technologies, and ways that we can produce more food in this country, which would give, you know, more manual labor. It would bring more investment, and it would be bringing food security to our nation. And that is something that's really worrying me. You know, food inflation is getting higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, of course.
The poorer people in society are the ones that are suffering because they can't afford good food. So what do? They buy over-processed food, which then causes more underlying, you know, illness problems, which costs more for the it costs more for the NHS. So it's an absolute snowball effect. So if we can cut that at the bud and building a better Britain on our bellies and start educating the children, putting more food on natural food into the curriculum, like America's doing, and, you know, whatever you think of Bobby Kennedy, he's doing a great job there. He's turned that food pyramid right round. They had massive obesity problems there. They had massive diabetes and underlying problem. And they're beginning to understand, you know, the importance of not playing too much with your food, simple food. You know, we don't need to over-process it. And if we can move away from a lot of these seed oils, which I don't believe in, you know, I use lard and butter in this house. There'll be no seed oils. She has a bit of olive oil for a few things, but all our things are as natural. I grow a lot of the food to feed my family. You know, we have our own chickens, kill our own animals. I shoot, I hunt, I fish. My freezer's full of food. And you know, it's a healthy way to live your life. But not everybody can live that life, but they have to have the opportunity to be able to afford that food somehow.
Absolutely. Have you ever been like approached to sort of help with our agricultural policies?
I'm doing it as we speak.
What a good question.
But quietly. I won't be mentioning any political parties, but yeah, it's been great actually. We have done for quite a long time now. A few people have approached us, and you know, we've met some ministers, and that's good. You know, I like to rattle cages, I'll be honest with you. I like to knock on doors. When you knock on that door long enough, people will let you in, but they have to start to listen. They have to start to listen.
And that's my next question. Are they actually listening to you? I mean, you see, the thing is, you have first-hand experience, and you talk, you know, and you say it as it is. And people do listen to you because you sort of command authority, because you know what you're talking about within your remit. Are they listening? And even if they are listening, are they going to be proactive with what you said and actually sort of enforce things that you're suggesting?
This is why I think May is very, very important to us. Yeah, I think we are at a massive turning point, because, you know, this net zero bullshit has to go out the window. Yeah, you know, we've got the highest energy bloody costs in the world, near enough. Food costs are going through the roof, and you know, it's the poorer people in society that are struggling. You know, we have to realise that we are a fantastic nation, which we can really turn things around. But you have to have the people that are, you know, the captain of that ship needs to be understanding that each part of that country can bring something different in. You know, we've had the coal mines down in the south, which give, you know, fantastic power to do the steel industries, and you know, everything. The last two industries we've got left here is really tourism, and we've got farming. You know, and we need to protect them, but they both go hand in hand as well. And I think if we can, you know, if we can develop them industries as well, as in, you know, the farming industry, the tourism industry, and innovation and new industries here in Wales, instead of shipping everything in. Because, you know, it's easy for Ed Miliband to stand there and play, you know, a little guitar and say,
oh my God, did you see that? Were you not cringing?
Let me tell you, you know, you've got to really look at the whole ethos of wind turbines. I went up to Scotland on a business trip just in the new year, and honestly, I think we counted about 170 turbines that weren't even turning. These companies are paid for not switching them on. You know, we need the infrastructure to carry that. You need these massive pylons then to be running through the centre of Wales. These horrible wind turbines, you know, we've got them in the sea out here. If they're working and they're producing energy, great. But putting them across Wales in this, you know, beautiful landscape, and they say we're destroying the environment and you know, our scenery. We have to be sensible about this.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I'd never say this, but I'm a supporter of nuclear now. I've looked at these nuclear and what they can bring and how they can do it. And I think, you know, we've got to look at innovations. I've just put solar panels on my farm. Yeah. And when I said I was doing it with a local solar company called Carbon Zero, they've been brilliant. But I said to him, I do not want them on the fields. And he said, right, let's get them on your cow sheds. So we've got 2 big units, one on my house here on the cow shed just behind my house, and the other one in the other cow shed. And they both supply my father's house, my house, and we're about 80% self-sufficient on the farm now with electricity. And that's in the winter. But, you know, he's looked at the storage. So being self-sufficient, be energy sufficient is going to save, you know, our business. And I'm not going to be as worried now, as my father's, you know, nearly 90. If we do have a power cut, he's got that electricity, so, you know, the lights don't go off anymore. We've got that. We're safe.
Yeah, and that's really important, isn't it, to feel safe within your own home. I want to talk about, like we were just saying, about sort of like the food chain and, you know, the food pyramid and how it's been sort of tackled in America and how we can tackle it here. Well, we've seen that there's been this milk crisis where farmers are having to pour gallons and gallons and gallons of milk down the drain because they're scared of processors and speaking up and, you know, whatever is going on. Surely you have children who are going to school who could benefit from this milk. You've got children whose parents are on benefits, who can't afford to kind of go out and buy the milk. And we've got people just pouring it down the drain. Like, what on earth is going on?
Well, again, you see that what the processors are doing is they're saying, right, you know, you've gone too good at what you do as the farmers. So it's been an overproduction, but they should have a processing plant, because there's ways that you can dry this milk. You can take the liquid out of it, the water out of it, and can dry in the powder of it. But you're dead right, Rob. We could be sending hundreds and thousands of pints of milk into schools, into hospitals, into prisons. You know, that could have a kind of cross-border party work ethic with governments, with councils, with the processors. You know, so the farmer gets a fair price for his product, but, you know, we're not wasting it. Because, you know, the joke is some of these big processors and some of these supermarkets, right, we want your net zero and your carbon audit. And they want this carbon audit. Next minute, they're telling these bloody farmers to pour that milk down the drain. What a load of bullshit, man. What a load of crap. It just makes no sense. And there's farmers out there now, dairy farmers, that are on the brink of going bankrupt. You know, they're absolutely struggling. And it needs to be addressed. We get countries, you know, fair price for bananas, fair price for coffee farmers. You know, these big supermarkets are making sure they are having fair prices. Where the hell is the fair price for the British farmer? And that should be government legislation. So we should look, let's say milk, okay? Cost of production of milk is, let's say, 30 pence a litre for the farmer, yeah? So that processor should guarantee that 30 pence to that farmer plus 5 pence. Yeah, so he's getting 35 pence. And still there'll be enough for them to milk it or take the cream out of it, if you understand what I mean. but there's longevity in this. And if you ask the majority of people that go shopping and you say, right, how much profit do you think a farmer's getting? Nobody will really know. Nobody will really know. So we've got to get this into the public domain. A fair price for what we're producing. And that has to be done by governments and legislation, because these processors have massive powers. These supermarkets have unbelievable powers. And the farmers that work for them, that are processing, are producing that food, they are shit scared. They are shit scared to say anything. I must have had 25, 30, 40 messages over Christmas, over that period, where farmers were pouring it down the drain. And they were going, I'll send you the video, but please don't mention me. This is the position I'm in. Please don't mention me. It's draconian what they're doing. The pressure that these people are under is unreal. People have taken their own lives. The industry is absolutely on its knees, and it needs a massive change.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm jumping here, Gareth, 2 questions are in my mind. One of them is to do with the cost, actually. You mentioned, we're importing a lot of our food now from European countries and other parts of the world. One of the arguments that I spoke with someone about this today, because they knew you were coming on the show, and their argument would be that if we were to only buy our own British farming food, or, our vegetables, our meat and all that here, it would be more expensive. Now, I personally would be prepared to pay that little bit extra to support our farmers. That's my position. But a lot of people would argue that people can't afford to do that. That's one argument, right, that I've heard as well. And the second question, if you can remember as well, is how much tax does the government, you mentioned the milk, right, how much the farmer gets from the store. What's the taxation system around that? So you produce the milk, you take it to the stores. How much does the government take? How much does the store take? And how much is the farmer left with? That's the second question. So the first is on the cost of the food if we were British only, Welsh farmers or English, Scotland or whatever. Would there be an increase in the price of food? And then, of course, the second question is, what's the taxation system around those products on those shelves?
So it's a big story. So we had something called the Common Agricultural Policy after the Second World War. So we wouldn't have remembered, but there was food shortages, okay? So European governments came together. So Common Agricultural Policy was something to make sure that everybody could have affordable food. So they took, government tax money to give to farmers to produce food. Now, a lot of that fizzled out then from the 90s, so it went more environmentally based. But where I'm going to come back to, your question about imported food. So we have some of the highest regulations in the world to produce food, antibiotics, sprays, what we put on our land. All these things are really important for us to produce good food. And there's a lot of red tape, but there's a lot of things I agree with as well, that there's not, overuse of antibiotics, there's not overuse of pesticides, and we're spraying everything with all kinds of crap that's going to make everybody bloody ill, and, they're going to cause problems. But none of that's happening in these European countries or in global countries. So when that's shipped in, then you don't know what you're putting on your plate. You don't know how that's been produced. So we need a labeling system, in my opinion, that shows. So I said this, and I'm going back now many, many years, because, I've got a crazy kind of brain that remembers the stupid things that I come with. So I wanted so when you go to, you're driving along and then you come to the traffic lights. So you've got green, you've got amber, and you've got red, haven't you? So I said we need some kind of traffic light system on our food. So everything that was produced in the UK would have a green, Everything produced in, let's say, Europe would have an amber, and everything that was produced in the rest of the world would have a red. And you would understand then what the legislation, how they're produced, and you can make that educational choice of what you're going to buy, because cheap food will come at a cost. Cheap food will come at a cost to the farmer.
Yeah.
Cheap food will come at a cost to the environment. Cheap food will come at a cost to yourself. And I mean that in a health way. So if you're eating a lot of, food that's produced in a not good way, it's going to cause you long-term health issues. So we are what we eat. Our health is our wealth. So if we're not intelligent enough to be buying good food, it's a little bit of our fault. But there is people out there who can't afford that food. So how do we address it? So we need to find ways that we can have government funding to get that food produced affordably. And that's why I'm saying a fair price for them farmers. So if that farmer can be, he's never going to be a multimillionaire, but if he can run that business because he knows in longevity, he's going to have a certain amount of price range all the way along. So, as a milk producer, if you are one of them now, as a milking farmer, some of these have gone from 50 pence to 20 pence. It's a roller coaster, so it's up and down. So you can't really protect your business in the long term. And farming is not something that happens in 1 year, 2 years. It's 10, 15, 20, or in my case, 375 years. It's a long old haul. So, there's a lot of problems to fix there, but it can be done by working together. But it has to have government incentives, and it has to have supermarkets understanding that them farmers are there for them, because what they're thinking of is, I could ship them peppers or I could ship them tomatoes from Egypt or new potatoes for half the price I can get them in here. But if them customers and consumers like you walk into that shop and say, no, I want to be buying British. So if more people buy British that can afford it, that will draw a line in the sand for these supermarkets to think, oh, okay, look, we've sold 10 tons of British potatoes compared to the 2 tons of Egyptian new potatoes we've had in this month. So they'll be buying less of them and supporting more of us.
I just want, so, obviously there's this big bone of contention actually at the moment in regards to how our meat is slaughtered. So when you send your meat off, do you do it yourself? Do you go and know that what's happening? Or do you not know that your food is going off and it could be done in a halal manner?
That is such a crazy, mad question, but what I like about you,
what do you expect?
You put me on the spot.
Sorry.
Yeah, so what we do is, so we sell some lambs into what we'd call the fat stock, the dead stock. So we'd have a company, it depends on the price of that week in a business, so you've got to look at it. So some of that lamb will be going into, let's say Dumbia, or EB. So these people buy that lamb from you. Some of them do it religious slaughter. Some of them, don't. If you look at some of the butchers today, they will tell you our slaughterhouse does not do religious slaughter. Yeah. So it's something that you can trace. And then if you look at every single pack in that supermarket, it will have a number. It will have a number of that abattoir, and you should be able then to trace back to that abattoir if they are, religiously stunned. Because it is, honestly, we did a podcast with 4 butchers a couple of weeks ago, and it was a hell of a subject. It was a hell of a subject because the Asian ethnic market is massive for lamb, mutton, and we've got to be honest with the people, because a lot of people don't want their lamb slaughtered like that. But if you go to countries like New Zealand, the majority of them will be slaughtered in that way, because that's their market. Again, we sell some of our lambs rogue, which we call stores. Okay, do you know what a store lamb is?
No, please tell me.
So it's a lamb that goes to a livestock market. So it goes alive to a market. It comes straight off the mountain, so it's not quite fat enough to go straight into, the dead weight, into being a lamb chop. So it goes to that market where another farmer will buy it from us, and then they will take it for 6 to 8 weeks, fatten it themselves, and then move it on. So that's what a store lamb is, or a store cow. And then you've got the fat stock. So we do both, and it all depends on the on the weather and how much grass we've got, how many we can fatten. It depends on the year. So yeah.
Yeah, Gareth, you answered the first part of my question on, obviously, buy British. I'm a massive advocate for that. I believe it's the right way forward. We should support our own farmers. I just want to nail it down to more detail, really, for the layman. So when I go into a shop, right, and I buy a bottle of milk, well, they're in plastic bottles these days. I remember the old milk float that used to come around, and the Coleman.
You nicked it?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
He nicked a milk float.
I did. Me and my brother, when we were younger, we nicked the milk float. Yeah, it's a long story.
You can tell me over a beer, mate.
I will tell you over a Guinness, yeah. So when someone goes into the supermarket, right, we'll come to meet later. They go in, they buy a bottle of milk, and how much is it now? £2 something for a bottle of whatever the litre is. How much does the government get from that, and how much does the supermarket get, and how much does the farmer get on that one bottle? Can you quantify that for me, please?
That's a really good question. So the farmer, and it'll be totally different to every farm, okay? So the farmer will have a contract with the processor, yeah? So I'll give you an example. So a friend of mine, he has got a contract with one of the big processors that supplies to a big supermarket. I've got to be careful how I put this across, because people can get into trouble. So he's got a contract with them. So his mate has got, with the same company, he gets about 10 pence more per litre than he gets. Both that milk go into the same lorry and go to the same processing plant.
Wow.
So to answer that is very difficult, Rich. And this is what I'm saying to you. And this is why we need some kind of baseline that these farmers are not getting ripped off. Because when there is, then you've got the spot milk price as well, that's quite a confusing thing. So when there's less milk on the market, spot milk will go up, and when a lot more milk, overproduction of it comes down. So it's a roller coaster. Some farmers, are on good contracts, and some farmers are on poor contracts. But all of it across the board needs to be looked at, and it's not just the milk. The eggs during COVID. Some of the farmers there lost bloody hundreds of thousands of pounds because the supermarkets were saying, we're not going to pay this for it. And then they started shipping. Well, farmers just stopped producing eggs. Then they started shipping them from Spain and all countries, because, this is what happens. And that's why we need that baseline where people get a fair price for what they're producing. And you can look into the future to invest in that farm. And you are talking a lot of money. If you're talking about a milking system, you're not talking about 10 grand. You're talking millions, mate. To set up that infrastructure, a dairy or whatever you do. But what I will tell everybody, and hopefully you can go online. So there is great people out there now, innovation. So you can go online and say, right, where is my nearest farm where I can buy milk direct? And if people did more of this, so there's 2 in our area. There's one in Colwyn Bay, there's one in Glenconway, and there's one in Pentir. And because I go that way quite a bit, we'll stop in Pentir and we'll pick, honestly, world of difference. He does ice creams as well, and he's got a little vending machine inside. Well, you can go there and get your milk, but now he's got butter, he's got cheese, he's got cakes. So he's developing a little business, and that's what we should be doing, because where we are lucky now is we've got the internet. So we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram. So there's places you could just Google, I'm on holiday down in Pembroke, And we went to this ice cream parlour. Honestly, best ice cream I have ever had. And again, you know, there's little businesses that we can support where then directly that money goes back to that farmer.
Yeah. So I've got a guy round by me, and I go to him, and he is Daisy Bank. So he is in sort of a bit further, kind of his mid Wales, and yeah, he's Daisy Bank. And I go to him, and he does cheese, he does butter, he does salted butter. It's delicious. Now, the one thing that I really like about him is that all of his milk is organic, and he doesn't like sort of give them antibiotics, and if they're ill, he takes them off the production line, so then we don't have to kind of have an ingest.
I met with him in the Royal Welsh. I did, yeah, and I had some of his butter and his cheese. Brilliant. Yeah, we're going to use his products this year on our American tours. So yes,
amazing. Absolutely brilliant. So the one thing though, when I had a chat with another farmer, so I don't get anybody into trouble, he was talking about, and I just kind of want to quantify this. You have a lorry that comes round, and the lorry collects all the milk. How do we determine what is organic and what is not if it's all put into the same big tank?
They'll definitely have an organic lorry milk tanker, yeah. If they're not, they're up shit street without a paddle, to be honest with you. No, if they're producing it organically, you'd have to separate it. You could not stick the same milk as non-organic. But you know, we're all different. If you believe organic is the way forward, that's great. But that sort of died a death because of the expense of it. So you know, for me, I think seasonal food's really good. If we look at ways of producing that food, and it doesn't always have to be organic, but if we look at ways of producing that food and using innovation, you know, I've taken the longevity of my new potatoes. Now I plant them in December. And it sounds crazy. My dad says you've been on the whiskey too long. So I plant them in December, and then I put my wool over the top of them, so it insulates them. I only put a few of them inside.
That's clever.
So and then once I put the wool on top, I use liquid seaweed off a friend of mine, David Edwards, fantastic company, and I've been using it for about 4 years on the farm now. So we're moving away from artificial fertilizer to more natural ways to do these things. You know, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but you can develop these ideas. And yeah, so we're getting our potatoes about 3 to 4 weeks earlier than what we would be. So it's just using a bit of innovation and a bit of you know, natural products.
So there was a study once, because I was really interested in, you know, like what farmers spray, because let's face it, whilst you're spraying that shit out everywhere, and I'm not talking actual literal shit, but your chemicals onto the land.
Well. We do spray.
But you know, all the spraying onto the land, right? We are then like ingesting that, because you know you're spraying the food, and then we have that, and you know, even if you wash it, it still stays on it, just like Bill Gates and a peel. You know, it's this kind of coating that keeps the food preserved, you know. And obviously what you were spraying is, or people spray, you know, farmers, it is actually damaging to our body. I saw that actually if you get bicarbonate of soda and some vinegar and a little bit of lemon, that actually did exactly the same thing as if, and I just want to quantify this with you, as if it was, you know, you were doing a spray, that the plants were resistant to, you know, and bugs weren't coming and eating everything because but it's natural, and we need more natural products, because it is causing, I mean, look, you see the increase of cancer, you know, what the fuck are we putting in our bodies, you know?
Yeah, no, listen, I totally agree with you. And that's why all my life, I've been growing my own food. I want to, you know, feed my family with food that I produced in my little veg pot. When you both come up, I'll sit you down. I'll get you some of my Welsh lamb. You know, I've had people from all over the world come in here and try my new potatoes. And I'll tell you something now, Rogue, honestly, unless you've had something fresh, local, seasonal, them new potatoes are fucking orgasmic. You know, the first strawberries are food porn. They are, you know, because that's been grown naturally, and you're not losing any of the nutrients out of it. When it's sat in a supermarket shelf for 3 weeks, been sprayed with all kinds of shit. Honestly, who wants a strawberry in December that's been produced in fucking Egypt in some greenhouse and fed with all kinds of crap? But we've got to look at that, because people want food and different food all around the year. So we're flying green beans from Kenya in December. We shouldn't be doing that, in my opinion. You know, my grandfather would have been going around with a little horse and cart, milking 6 cows here, selling that milk, growing potatoes, growing bloody Swedes, growing carrots. You know, he'd be selling them. And that food would be fucking good food. It'd be natural. When you taste it, it tastes like real food. I know it sounds bonkers, but you know, you do pay for what you get. And we have to make these decisions, and they're tough decisions, because not everybody can afford them decisions. If you're in that position, I would suggest your health is your wealth. So investing in good food is going to give you longevity in life. That's my opinion.
I mentioned you quite a few times, Rogan. My granddad, he God rest his soul, he was obviously fought in the Second World War, but he always grew his own veg, right? And honestly, my grandmother and grandfather's cooking the food was so fresh. So, I mean, your taste buds, you know, you came alive. It was proper food. You know, he grew his potatoes, runnabees, cabbages, everything. And Sunday dinners at my grand's were the best dinners ever. And now you go to these places where it's all processed, it's all gone through this different, you know, you mentioned road spraying, all that kind of stuff. Food just doesn't taste the same anymore, does it? It's completely different. And I'm really looking forward to that invitation, by the way.
But they would have remembered the hunger. You know, they would have remembered the hard times when food was not abhorrent, that food wasn't everywhere. So you can walk into supermarkets now and you can buy whatever you want, whenever you want. You know, but they would remember them hard times. So nothing went to waste. You know, they would use everything. And I think the less we play with our food, I know it sounds nuts, the less we play with our food, the better it is. For me, it's either surf or turf. So it's either come out of that ground or it's come out of that sea. And that's really important.
Very
you know, and we can salt our hams and we can have bacon. But, you know, I've got a guy that makes my own bacon for me. I've got, you know, my own chickens come here and I produce my own. That's what I had today. We had 4 of our kids up here today, not my own, but other people's children. Sounds mad, I know, but their parents had gone on holiday, so they came up for dinner with us, you know, and
brilliant.
My own chicken, our own veg, and they sat down and they loved it. And do you know what? My granddaughter was sitting there chomping on my blooming chicken, and I love it. You know, it's just, as a farmer, you get that feedback because you can see them enjoying your food. That's what I do. I produce food. That's my job. You know, and I feel that I've been kicked in the bollocks for years and years by governments, supermarkets, and everybody that's tried to really bring us down. But, you know, we love what we do, and we are here for you, for the consumer and the customer. So we need to get that connection back. We need to work together. And do you know what? We need more allotments. We need more people understanding how to grow their own food as well.
See, I was coming to that because when Labour first got in, they decided to start selling off allotments, and they were basically just trying to remove them so they could actually just put houses on them, which was really pissing me off because, you know, I think it is so important that we can teach our children and our grandchildren how to grow food. And, you know, and this is what I was kind of talking about, like the pesticide, you know, sort of what do you use naturally, or can you use? I mean, the bicarb and lemon juice actually keeps bugs away. What do you use, or what would you suggest to use, like that's more natural? I
don't use any sprays. I grow things in different places which will protect the other plant. That's what I've done.
Marigolds, if you put marigold in with certain foods, it actually keeps things away. So it's about learning how to kind of, like you said, put certain things in to keep everything away. And the other thing that I was going to ask you is, I hope your chickens were kind of registered with DEFRA. Do you remember when that came out and everybody was registering their toy chickens? Oh my God, what were they thinking?
Yeah, well, do you know what? We'll go back to the start of this conversation and Alan Miller, and, you know, it's fucking data harvesting. Honestly,
Yep.
it's data harvesting. You can't even have a fart without somebody wanting to know how much methane you've left out of your backside. Fucking bullshit, sorry. You know,
Yep.
let people get on with what they're doing. You know, if they've got 15 chickens and they're selling some eggs down the road, well, that is not going to be a fucking tax swindle when we've got multi-billionaires fucking robbing this country. It just pisses me off. It pisses. I'd be giving incentives for more people to have chickens in their back gardens and you know, producing more food themselves. And that's what it's about. You know, we've got to be making sure we protect our rights, our freedom of speech. And, you know, I'm a big believer in that. There's a lot of people I'd love to shut the fuck up, but I've got to listen to them. And sometimes it's difficult. But do you know what? I think it's good that we can have that opportunity, because without having these conversations, we'll never find solutions. And that's really, really important. Even if it's somebody that you totally disagree with, if you can sit down with them for 5 minutes, have a chat, and sometimes, you know, you will come to some kind of middle ground where you can think, well, do you know what? They're not far wrong with that. If we could bring this together, we can drive it forward. And I think that's where government have lost the plot with a lot of these civil servants. And that's what people don't understand, is who are making these policies and laws. You know, the AMs and the MPs are there, but they have no background in agriculture. They don't have background in medicine. They don't have background, you know, in education. A lot of these people, they come in, they get a portfolio, and they know fuck all about it. You know, and then you've got civil servants that have been there for 25 years. Oh no, I love the environment. Let's fucking fuck these farmers off. And that's what it's about. You know, some of them are just so fucking up their own asses. They don't really understand one iota of what needs to be done. So getting the right civil servants and the right people and asking the right questions, you know, we can do it. And I suggest as well, you know, I've suggested this to a few of the AMs I've met. If we get hubs of quite, you know, top people in their remit, so top poultry guys, top dairy farmers, top pig producers, sheep, beef, you know, tourism, whatever they are, you bring them together in a hub. They don't have to go to Cardiff. They can do this like they can do it online. And you get these people to come down and talk to each other, brainstorm, throw their ideas in there, get these civil servants to start to think, oh, hey, do you know what? These aren't shit kickers. They do know what they're doing. And take these pieces, morsels, breadcrumbs, and build it together then to find the best way. Because every single farm is like every single household. None are going to be the same. And that's why we have these blanket policies that don't work. You know, it has to be flexible. It has to work for different farms.
Gareth, I just got, no, you're not going to like this question, because the old accusations on farmers, right, here it comes, is farmers are all millionaires. They're all stinking rich, right? They argue on the inheritance tax, you know, and all that kind of stuff. You've heard this, right? I've heard it before. And I've met several farmers throughout my life, you know, not closely. You're probably the closest one I've ever spoken to in detail, right?
I was a little farmer.
What's that, my love?
I was a little farmer.
Little farmer.
I had my little farm.
You did have animals. You did, yeah. You did kill them and eat them, or did you? Anyway, but my question to you is, you know this, you know this accusation. You know, I used to hear this all the time. You know, screw the farmers. They're minted. They're all millionaires. Now you've heard this, haven't you? I mean, and when you understand farming and you get to understand, you know, how much tax you pay and how much work you start at what time in the morning, like 4 a.m, and finish late at night. I mean, what would you say to those who accuse farmers of being wealthy people and entitled and they don't deserve all these tax breaks?
I hate to say that. I was probably one of them millionaires. But that hasn't been done on the farming side of things. You know, it's on the other businesses I've done. But you've got to address the whole, you know, problem. And farmers get a 1% return on what they've got as a business. No other business in the world will do what farmers do. And we're price takers, not price givers. So we never know what we're getting. You know, I've had a calf this morning, nearly got killed by that cow. I won't be selling that cow that calf for another 28 months. And I couldn't tell you how much I'll get for that calf in 28 months. Okay? Now, 28 months is a long time to wait. It was a long-term investment. Why are you laughing, Rogue? Are you just laughing because you see me running around like a fucking banshee? Yeah, well, listen, I'll tell you something, Rich. Female are the most dangerous of the species, okay? Especially after they just birth, honestly. Yeah, she really wanted a piece of me. I was nearly bloody underneath her. But yeah, look, I think you can look at farmers and look at their wealth on paper. So we're wealthy as in a business, as in what we're worth. But that worth is always passed on to the next generation.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So, you might be worth 3 million on paper, but that 3 million is worthless because that's going to be passed on to the next generation so they can produce affordable food for you. So you put a 20% tax on that, inheritance tax, on that farm. Either they've got to sell 20% of that farm or they've got to get 20% more for their produce, which is food, which is going to make food more expensive. So don't bite the hand that feeds you, and that's what people are doing. But do you know what? I will tell you something. Even I'm in a good position, but I have never ever been in any campaign that we've had so much support from the general public. We're going to get a few people that are going to be negative towards it, but they are the left of the leaf-licking lefties that will never like farmers. They want to take the land away from us. They want a land grab. But the majority of people understand the importance of what we do every day. And you are going to need us once, twice, or 3 times a day. And people realised that, and they were very supportive.
Yeah. So this is in London, the London farmer protest, and you had death threats after this. Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, that was that was after meeting Rishi Sunak. Well, I've had death threats 5 times, Rogue, so it's not something new. But I had 15 minutes with Rishi Sunak when he was Prime Minister to sit down and have a talk about agricultural policies, the importance of Wales. But I've met Eluned Morgan, I've met Trina Piorwerth, I've met them all. I've even had Jacob Rees-Mogg appear on the farm, which that was probably the most shit I had for anything I've ever done. But my farm gate's open to every political party.
I love that.
I'm not here to to stop anybody from coming here to listen. I had Lee Walters on the farm here. He spent a day with me as well. Labour, Liberals, Conservatives. They've all been here, and I think that's really important. But you get more shit for some of these things, and look, it comes with the territory. You have to be really thick-skinned, and you have to be willing to accept the problems. And I think sometimes they send these death threats to shut you up. They want you to be silenced. So a lot of them are just crazy ideologies, but you've got to be careful as well. I'm around these sheds 2-3 o'clock in the morning. You don't know who's
I was going to say I guess this is I'm laughing in my head here. I wish you'd kept Lee Waters locked up in your farm, right? Because I'm from Llanelli, right? And you know what Llanelli people think about Lee Waters. That's all I'm going to say about that.
He's very popular there, isn't he, mate? He's very popular.
Yeah, I know, but not in some part of Llanelli, he's not, right? That's how you know.
Well, you want to look at me and him having spats anyway. So me and him are the best of mates, but that's life.
Yeah, that's it.
So many to put here. I've learned so much from you from the past couple of years, Gareth. Thank you so much. That's one of my really dear friends, actually. That's Bex. And Jake said BlackRock has its eyes on those farms.
There's solar panels and all that, isn't it?
Well, but it's they've been trying to buy
He's got a point. There is a global problem within the agricultural sector and the WEF and the UN, and we can go down loads of rabbit holes. But I do believe there has been a massive land grab in a lot of places. So we've got to be careful about that. But that'll be down to the puppets in government that are listening to these people. So working together And it will be the power of the people that makes a difference, no doubt in my mind.
Absolutely.
And what people are beginning to wake up and start to realise what's going on. And once we get enough people realising, we'll have that power and we can take. So, yeah, I'm just reading that one about Lee Walters.
What does it say?
Lee Walters in the cow shed, he would come out walking wonky.
Not going to comment on that one, Rogue.
No.
Can I just say, just don't drink the bull's milk. You know, that's all I'm going to say, Lee.
Well, if you watch my Come Dine with me, that's what I made my ice cream with. I told them again.
Oh my gosh.
The thing I say as well is my favourite meat is lamb. I love, obviously, but Welsh lamb, right? And I wonder if it's one of those things, because some say New Zealand lamb is the best and all this kind of thing. My opinion, I mean, we'll put it out to our viewers tonight. What lamb is the best? We know what you're going to say. Well, I'm assuming you're going to say Welsh lamb, Gareth. There's nothing better than Welsh lamb with mint sauce, is there?
I think you've got to just take this into a new concept. So it's Welsh mountain lamb. From me, is going to be the best lamb you'll ever
There we
have.
go.
Now, listen. So we've had Jack Whitehall and his dad saying that. I've had what they call the recipe hunters who have travelled all over the world, eaten lamb in every country, say that. I've had Wyn Evans in my garden saying that. So it's not me that's saying it. And then when you two come up, you'll get to try it. And if you don't say it's the best lamb, there is a cold ice water dip for you. Which, keep your heads under for a long time.
Okay, so listen to this, right? Listen to this. I have been a vegetarian for 15 years, but what I will do is I will break my vegetarianism to try some of your lamb, only because you don't spray your ground. It is home reared and that you have done it. So how about that?
Wow.
Lovely. That's I can say I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I'll even kill that lamb myself for you.
Okay, so at least I know it's not going to be halal. That's fine. You do that. Oh, jeez. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. It's been a really lovely night. But I'm aware that it's like a Sunday evening and you've got to be up early in the morning. So we are going to round this up. And we just, I just want to say a massive thank you for all that you do, the long hours, all the hard work. And thank you for actually becoming somebody and actually being that voice for the rest of the farmers. You're not just standing up for yourself, you're standing up for everybody and you're teaching people. And, you're a really integral part in Wales, in fact, the whole United Kingdom. And I just want to thank you so much for all that you do.
Oh, thanks for the opportunity. And, it was great meeting you two as well. And this is what I've loved about what I've done is, the people I've met on this journey. And that's really important because this is how we can develop friendships and develop ideologies and new ideas to go forward. And that's really, really important for us as a country, as a nation, and as a society. And you know what? We'll never agree on everything, but if we have these conversations, we can find solutions.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So somebody said, I've not encountered Gareth before, but what an excellent, genuine gentleman he is. I wouldn't say gentleman, but
You didn't say that in Cumbrian, Rogue.
Well, we're hoping to catch you at another meeting soon because we're coming up to North Wales soon.
Yeah. And we're going to go to the Senedd, aren't we? On
the 25th of April, of course, we'll be at the Senedd supporting the Together Association against.
Hope you can make it. Do you think you'll be able to come?
It'll be dodgy because we are right in the middle of lambing season or coming to the end of lambing. If I can make it, I can make it. But I'll be honest with you, this time of year now is the most important time, the spring, calving, lambing. So I tend not to do a lot of
Can I come up and do some lambing, please?
100% Rogue, more than happy to have a helping hand.
We can film it and we can just watch how horrific.
Well, I've had a few women pulling a few things up here and there was a lot of screaming. not sure if that came over quite right. I mean, pulling lambs and calves. Shit. Sorry.
Oh, bless your heart.
Fantastic. Yeah, Gareth, thank you ever so much, mate. We love you, mate. We really do. You're an inspiration, and I know that many people follow you as well. You've got your own channel as well, Gareth, and you're on YouTube as well, aren't you? How can people find you on YouTube? Just search your name, or
just Gareth Wyn Jones. I think we've got about 2,600,000 followers, something like that.
Brilliant, fantastic.
You should share this and help us get it out there.
And on Facebook,
We'll share it.
And Gareth's X account is there, folks, at one Gareth Wyn Jones as well. So make sure you share that as well.
Yeah, we've got Facebook, we've got TikTok, we've got Instagram, we've got everything, man.
Brilliant. I'm looking forward to coming out on a Sunday lunch.
I'm actually going to come out with the lambing, so we'll organise that, and then we can have a bit of fun. Oh my God, I love lambs. I might actually nick one and bring one home.
Well, the only way you'll be doing that is you're going to put it in your boot and you'll be put it in the freezer when you get home.
There you go.
Look, thank you again so much for coming on, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was great. I enjoyed that.
He's a great guy. Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
We had an amazing time in Cumbraen.
Do you know what? In Cumbraen, he absolutely had me in stitches. Just the funniest guy you'll ever meet, and just so down to earth. He is the salt of the earth. Salt Marsh Lamb and Salt Marsh Gareth.
You know, I like Rowan as well. Is like he's not within a political party, and he, because he cares about the farming industry. So it's not about an allegiance to a political party. It's about the farming industry.
Absolutely.
And it's the same as what we've been saying in the last few episodes here, Rogue, isn't it? It's about the country of Wales.
Of course.
It's not about, showing, loyalty to a party or a person.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we know there are levers of political parties, and there's been some comments on you tonight, which we're not talking to. By the way, we have Right Side Friends on tonight, and we're doing Gareth today and Alan as well. And I think that sense of coming together, the campaign on behalf of what is best for ordinary people is the most important thing of all. And I think that's where I think our strength lies, certainly, because we've always... Hi, is it Matt? Hi, Matt.
Matt Glindur.
Yeah, that is what it's all about, isn't it, really? Because getting behind people, and so if you're in a community where you have a local butchers, local farmers, buy local, buy British as much as you can. Put pressure on these supermarkets. So make sure you buy British, and because that's the most important thing of all. And she's just turned the power off the computer as well, but that doesn't matter. She's turning the lights off. She's left the building, folks. She's gone already.
I haven't.
Buy British and make sure you do that. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. We really appreciate it. We've got a target of wanting to reach 10,000 subscribers within the next 2 months, I should say. If we can do that, we'd be really, really happy. We'll put a smile on our face, wouldn't it, Ro?
Absolutely.
And thank you to all of our members, and to the gentleman who donated 10 memberships yesterday on our show. Was it last night?
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you ever so much for that. And thank you to all of our friends here. We've got a few of these questions to Gareth. Now. So just to say thank you for anything, everything really. We really appreciate you, and our team as well. Thank you for putting the show together tonight.
Yeah, we love our team. So we just like to thank our beautiful, beautiful team. I'm Nikki and Jake and Claire Bear and Stevie. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. What's up? What day are we on today, love? I keep forgetting. Sunday.
It's Sunday today.
It's Sunday today. So this week we got. What are we doing this week? We got lots on. We got Wednesday.
Meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, go on.
We got PMQs on Wednesday at midday.
Yes, we have.
And then we have Catherine Blaycock.
Now, Wednesday. PMQs 12 p.m. We'll start at 11:45, and we'll be...
Oh, Howard Cox is coming on.
That's what I was going to come to.
Sorry.
It's all right, my love, no problem at all. We're going to go live to PMQs. We watch it live on the screen here, and we'll be running some commentary alongside it, and we'll discuss how well we thought, or how bad they did, when Kemi Badenoch takes to the dispatch box against Keir Starmer. We got through a whole show without mentioning Keir Starmer right till the very end. Imagine that. And of course, Howard Cox was a wonderful friend who heads up Fairfield as well. He will be on running some commentary with us. And then on Sunday, who else have we got coming on? We got quite a few guests now. Are we coming on?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a few people as well coming on. We're going to be speaking to a number of people as well that were involved in the inquiry into the rape gang inquiry as well. So we're going to have some guests on to discuss that. It's going to be quite a sensitive topic, but one that's very important we want to bring to you as well, because I think that needs bringing to people's attentions, because a lot of people, obviously, mainstream media never covered the story, as many of you know. It was buried. They, you know, they mentioned it. GB News just mentioned it briefly, and that's about it as well. So thank you everyone for watching.
Keir Starmer is a W and an anchor.
He is indeed.
Right, we love you guys.
Love you guys, and take the comments off before you end stream. Because
All
it
right,
stays
thanks.
on.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Have a great night. No star. All about.
Star. Do I have to select an outro?
No. Just go to no.
All right. Okay. Cancel.
Yeah, cancel. There we go.
All right. I'm learning.
You are.
Take care.